So I made ravioli for James today. And
fancy ravioli.
Well, yeah.
And you more like the labor over it.
Yes, it was horrible.
It
always is.
Even that was a new ravioli maker you're using today.
Well, I've only used it a couple times, but
new to us.
Well, it was brand new. We got that one from
it wasn't working that well.
No, the one that I started. Just a minute. I'm going to be talking about forest bathing and basic rock hounding and prospecting, and these. So yeah, first I tried using a pasta maker just to roll the dough out thin that we'd gotten from the thrift store, and it didn't work. It was
pretty
terrible.
bad. It was making huge protesting noises.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard enough even with one that works.
Yep.
And so then I just decided, oh, well, I guess I'll have to use my one with the ravioli attachment for both the rolling out the dough and the...
Oh, so that's what happened.
So that's what I did.
Still seemed like a lot of work.
Yeah, well...
Real workout.
I made 88 raviolis.
See?
While watching this.
One for each piano key.
Was only 92 minutes long, but maybe it's just because I was making raviolis. It felt like forever.
This was the one about Free Lunch Society.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think that yes, it would be nice for everybody to have a guaranteed income. I don't understand why we even have to do taxes. The government knows how much we make. They should just send us a bill saying pay this amount. Otherwise, if you want to contest it, do your taxes.
That's
you
it.
know?
If you're employed. If you're self-employed, then there's a problem.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Believe me, self-employed people, on average, don't really report that much. Their income. But yeah, they were saying studies show that when people have the guaranteed income, they still continue to work. And I'm thinking, yeah, some studies show that guarantee. There are some studies that show they don't. It's just they weren't reporting them. So.
Anyway. So apparently they tried it in Manitoba. And they cut that.
Well,
so I don't know. You know, I watched this thing
it's
and
who cuts it, right?
You
get an NDP government trying, and then the Conservatives come in.
I watch things like that, and I'm like, yeah, it seems like a great idea. Then I start thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, a lot of people wouldn't even bother to work. I mean, you have to. There should be a lot of the jobs. Honestly, I think they're make work projects, like within the government. I'm talking about all the bureaucracy, like with having to apply for disability or this or that. You know, if they notice, gee, you're not working, how come? You know, I mean, they should be wondering about why all of a sudden, when I was working constantly, I stopped. They really should. The government should be going, wait a minute, what happened here? Could it be that Pauline really hurts a lot of the time? Yeah. You know, and I get to do things like make raviolis once a year. Like, whatever. My existence is horrible. I really, anyway, so, the rock hounding, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the, one page especially. I should look at what page number it is. Oh God. Evil raviolis. Page 163. If you see, there's apparently you can go get rocks that have already been dug. I don't know what these are called. Many fee dig operations. I don't know. But it shows where you can find those different kind of rocks, and so you'd probably have a pretty good idea of how to, I don't know, where to go find them yourself if you're allowed to, and apparently in the book it says that you are. You're allowed to take, I can't remember what it is. It's something like a reasonable amount that you can carry in a truck or something. It's some ridiculous thing in there. I remember reading that, and I didn't bring the notes out because whatever. But if you're interested in learning that sort of thing, definitely borrow that book from your...
That's a Blue Jay was very interested in learning
really?
about rocks.
About rock hounding.
He got very excited.
Yeah.
All right, he said.
Yeah. So anyway, would I recommend this video? I don't know, honestly. I didn't think it was that good. I mean, it could be that I was just in a lot of pain doing stupid raviolis, and this just seemed to go on forever. I don't know.
It went on forever for me. The wind doesn't care for it that much. I think there are much more important things for left-wingers to be working on. That sort of stuff. Like supporting unions. Like, you know, like trying to get work on democracy. This is a hard sell, you know.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think people should be encouraged to educate themselves. So if they're going to get a guaranteed income of whatever, it really wouldn't take much. Just as long as you were educating yourself while you're doing that, like say $10,000 a year or something, as long as you show up for school, check, or whatever. Then even if you're just sitting around there half-baked and sleeping, you're going to catch something to educate yourself a little bit better.
I think people should, if they're unemployed, see, like, I'm giving people money, but giving people money and saying, okay, you're not employed, now you go to school, you're not going to be a professional student, you're going to actually have to earn the marks, right?
And not everybody can educate themselves. Some people are really genuinely just not.
If they got a problem,
or whatever,
give them some money. But
yeah,
if they've got learning problems, but other people, they should actually be required to go to school if they're earning more.
So the rabbit effect: live longer, happier, and healthier with the groundbreaking science of kindness. By Kelly Harding. In 2016, the U.S. ranked 43rd in the world for life expectancy. U.S. is expected to drop to 64th place by 2040. How's your ravioli, by the way? Great. Life expectancy dropped in 2015 in America, but rose in other wealthy nations.
That's 2016, eh?
Yeah.
That's even before Trump.
2015. The numbers dropped again in 2016-17. Yeah, I made
That's amazing.
James's raviolis with this pumpkin. It's a filling I made based on a Jamaican patty recipe, and then I just put regular tomato sauce. I was going to deep fry his ravioli and then serve it with some salsa and guacamole. I thought that would have been good, but I really hurt after making the ravioli, so I'm gonna have a bath maybe and get my muscles relaxed, and then maybe tomorrow he can have deep fried ravioli, which will be on my bed.
Yeah, this ravioli's awesome. It's way better than real ravioli because it doesn't have the meat in it. At least I hope it does. Good.
Nobel Prize winning economist Angus Deaton and his wife, fellow Princeton University Prof. Ann Case, reported a spike in mortality for middle-aged white men and women with less than a college education. U.S. spends more than any other country for hospital-based maternity care, but the U.S. ranks 46th in the world for maternal health. It has the worst rate of maternal deaths in the developed world, with a rising maternal mortality rate from 17 deaths per 100,000 births in 2000 to 26.4 deaths per 100,000 in 2015. Out of the 32 wealthiest countries in the world, the U.S. ranked 32nd on the wealth health gap, so it's the worst. Even wealthy, educated white Americans can expect to die several years younger than equally well-off people around the world. America is the world's most expensive place to get sick. The high cost of Medicare causes half of the U.S. bankruptcies annually. White male rabbits develop heart disease much like humans on high-fat diet. Dr. Robert Neeram, New Zealand study found that their cholesterol was high and they seemed destined for a stroke. So he expected to see similar fatty deposits in their arteries. One group had 60% fewer deposits than the other. A Canadian, sounds like someone got stuck.
Why go in the alley?
I don't
get it.
A Canadian, Marina Lebesque, was unusually kind to the rabbits in her care. She talked to them, cuddled them, and petted them. This was the difference between the two groups. So this is the basis of the book. Page 15. The average twin pregnancy is only 35 weeks. 18. DNA methylation is epigenetic in addition to the genes. The methyl group is separate from the DNA strand itself. It attaches a CH3 to the end tumor cells. It changes the cell's narrative without changing the genetic code. 21. McGill, Susan King. Researchers, 1998. Ice storm babies followed through age 13. These children had higher than expected rates of asthma, autism, metabolic and autoimmune disorders, much like Dutch famine. Dr. Swiss found children of most stressed mums showed a distinct pattern of DNA methylation in immune and metabolic cells. 23. A child under 2 with secure attachment is friendly to stranger when mom is present, gets upset when mom leaves, and is wary of stranger when alone. She seems happy to see mom return. Children with non-secure attachments either show no distress when mom leaves, seem okay with stranger, and become upset with mom on her return, sometimes even pushing her away. A review of 2,000 strange situations like this, done in 8 different countries, shows insecure attachment present across cultures for 1 of every 2 kids. Insecure attachment leads to high cortisol levels, lower hippocampal volume, area of brain involved in memory and learning, and increased risk of physical and mental illness. 24. Dr. Ray Sanatria, 1978, found that when moms use their chests to heat babies rather than incubator, more babies survive. Kangaroo care raises babies with higher IQ, calmer, sleep better, decreased preterm infant mortality by over 30%. 25. Oxytocin, love hormone, helps us feel calm, appreciated, even sing more. Study of 68 men, those who get nasal oxytocin spray, were 80% more generous, sharing cash with stranger. 26. Holding hands lowers blood pressure, heart rate, and cortisol. Even twins in utero do it. When a person holds the hand of a loved one in distress, the breath and heartbeat of the pair sync up. Their brain waves harmonize as well. 27. Those who got daily hugs were 32% less likely to catch common cold administered by nasal drops. Those who got sick, even though they had hugs, had less severe symptoms and recovered faster. 29. In 2018, only 2 countries in the world didn't mandate paid maternity leave, Papua New Guinea and the U.S. 10 weeks of paid parental leave decreases infant mortality by 10%. 39. Feeling chronically lonely increases risk of heart disease, stroke by 30%. Loneliness is equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes per day or heavy alcohol abuse. 45. Seniors who participated in community activities had 70% less risk of dementia. 47. Swedish study published in Nature in 2017 found dog ownership for a single person household is associated with 11% decreased risk of heart disease and 33% decreased risk of all-cause death. I wonder if they tested labs or chihuahuas, though, honestly. 64. 2018 study in Nature. Incomes beyond $60,000 to $75,000 US didn't add much to emotional well-being. 65. 1% of world's population has more wealth than the other 99 combined. 73. Decreased stress increases telomerase activity in healthy cells and decreases risk of disease. 74. Positive outlook increases our lifespan. A life full of purpose is often connected to a lifelong love of learning. A focus on meaning and self-realization lowers daily salivary cortisol levels and pro-inflammatory markers. susceptible to viruses and have healthier hearts. 76. Patient without high school diploma is 2 times likely to have diabetes as college grad and 3 times more likely to die from it. Education protects against telomere shortening. 86. In U.S. in 2018, 1 in 10, many of them kids, regularly went hungry. 88. If a child grows a vegetable, he or she is more likely to eat it. 92. Spending time in nature decreases cortisol levels, decreases blood pressure, and boosts immune function. Forest bathing increases natural killer cells numbers, the white blood cells. These cells fight off tumor growth and infection. The improved functioning extended for the month after the nature experience. 95. Kids from neighborhoods with high unemployment rates, poverty, litter, broken glass, and boarded buildings had 3 times the odds of shorter telomeres. 105. Women paid less than equally qualified men had 2.5 times the risk of depression and 4 times the risk of anxiety. No increased risk of either when they're paid the same. 108. People of color are overdiagnosed with mental illness. African Americans are 4 times more likely than white patients to get a schizophrenia diagnosis. 117. White female has highest life expectancy, then black female. White male slightly less than black female, and black male has the lowest life expectancy. 118. In U.S. southern states in 1920s, 1 drop of black blood meant child was black. If child moved from Virginia to Maryland, he became white. 121. Area of the cerebral cortex right supramarginal gyrus is crucial to empathy. 122. It's harder to overcome bias when we feel tired or stressed. 133. Adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, 6 or more lead to 13-year earlier lung cancer. If children unloaded their burden on paper, they showed improvements on serum markers of immune functioning. So write your journal, your stuff. 152. 1 to 2 patients of every 10 is mixed diagnosed. 1 in 10 die from a doctor error. 153. People living with severe mental illness receive lower quality medical care and are at risk of dying to 28.5 years earlier on average than people without these diagnoses. People with severe mental disorders have 2 or 3 times the risk of heart disease, lung problems, infection, diabetes, and stroke. Mental illness may be a symptom of another underlying illness. Causes for delirium, cancers, falls, heart conditions, metabolic disorders, endocrine disease, autoimmune conditions, bowel disease, vitamin deficiency, accidental poisoning, UTIs. There are no confirmatory blood tests for mental illness, so it is much harder to prove that a diagnosis like schizophrenia is wrong. 157. Stress promotes systemic inflammation. Non-resolving inflammation is a significant driver of disease. Pro-inflammatory cytokines released in chronic stress lead to general inflammation states. Prolonged stress is an independent risk factor in poor health. 158. Children living with high environmental stress had telomeres 40% shorter than those in more relaxed homes. Studies have found increased levels of inflammatory C-reactive protein in adults whose parents separated as children. Oxytocin is an anti-neuroinflammatory. 159. Psychiatric meds such as Prozac, lithium, and Haldol partially work because they are anti-inflammatory. 166. Dr. Alyssa Ippo found high stress plus fear of stress to be especially bad. She studied the biological effects of stress on moms caring for chronically ill children. The women with the highest levels of perceived stress had lifespans markers shorter than on average by a decade compared with the low-stress women. Individuals who worried about the effects of stress had 43% increased risk of premature death compared with those who experienced a lot of stress but didn't perceive its effect as negative. Those who reported high stress but low fear of stress had the least risk of death.
Okay.
We're going to talk about forest bathing later because James is cold.
We're bathing in the forest, but it's like a glacier stream.